Hi, Hannah.
Hi, Nick.
Well, what another fantastic guest we have for you today. It's someone you'd probably expect, really.
Surfers typically have quite short careers, or athletes in general have quite short careers. In the past, I think that's maybe is a thing of the past, but like little Tommy retired at what, 33?
Oh, earlier, I think he was like 30. He had that in his mind that 30 was the cutoff point, which it so isn't anymore, obviously.
In that, what was particularly in that generation's time perceived as quite a short career lifespan, it meant that surfers and athletes and everybody had to kind of ram up all their other things, like partnerships and sponsorships and starting your own companies and creating all these revenue streams. But it's funny because this person did all that, had a couple of dark financial spots in that whole cycle, but then had the longest professional surfing career of anyone on the planet.
Yeah, that's true. I think there's something fundamentally interesting about how the guy went about it, right? Like, we were watching the whole surfing world develop and change while his career was happening and opening up to the world. And he got famous really quick. And while he was present, the surf industry generally hit its highest peak ever by a long way. Like the company who was, guiding and sponsoring him from quite an early age hit a peak of a bit over $2 billion a year in turnover, which is just mind-boggling, and there's no surf companies even getting close to that now. But then, it was only like 5 or 6 years after that that he decided the time was right just to part ways with the very same company.
So, in case you haven't worked it out, folks, we are chatting to Kelly Slater today on the podcast.
Yeah, it's kind of a drop on from what we were talking about with Kelly while he was in Fiji for the World Championships fairly recently, like only a couple of months ago. And we talked about a lot of other stuff, and we thought we'd just hang on to it and present it a bit separately because he's just so interesting. He's like a lot of people who we get on who are like over 30 about. They have a lot going on and they've done a lot. And while you could question the nature and meaning of the word wisdom, at least they've got a bit of life experience under their belts and they can talk from a place of some authority maybe, and even in Kelly's case, a noticeably, I guess, more, humble, I guess, in a way.
Yeah, something that kind of spurred on this conversation, or something I was really interested in by chasing him to have this conversation with us, was about a year and a half ago. We chatted to him down at Bell's with Tom, and that was really at a point in Kelly's life where he was, I don't know, coming to a place of acceptance about having to retire from competitive surfing, but he hadn't quite reached it yet. Like, he was still going through almost the grieving process of letting go, and he knew that he had his kid on the way and he was excited about that, and that was like a next chapter, and he knew he was tired and sore, and his body was kind of letting him down to be at that elite level for much longer. But there was still an element of grief going on in that. And so when we started this podcast, one of the first people I was really interested in getting on, I'm sure everyone wants to talk to Kelly or whatever, but I just wanted to see where he was at a year and a half later from that conversation, because I don't know, I was a big fan of those Billie Eilish interviews when they did it when she was 14, 15, 16 every year with Vogue, and they were getting kind of her yearly interpretation on where she was at with the level of fame. And I just feel like Kelly's always had the camera on him and always had people talking with him, but just getting to check in with him and watching him kind of grow and develop is really interesting.
It really is, and he'd really moved on from that period, right? Like, the grieving part was over. We teased him a little bit during the World Championship type interviewing about, getting a free kick, and John Roseman was kind of backing him, saying, oh, Kelly should win this, But, there wasn't any real sense from him. He wanted to tangle with that situation, that he kind of had an intellectual interest in it. He was fascinated by how people are preparing and how they're going, as you would be, right? Because there's no one more expert in that than Kelly Slater, right? When it comes to competing, there's probably a handful of athletes in the world who understand it as well as Kelly, but definitely nobody who understands the surfing style of competition. And so he was fascinated by that, but there was no sense that, like, oh, gosh, I really wish I could jump in now and have a crack. He was not in that headspace at all.
Yeah, he seemed really relaxed and really chill and happy and content, which was obviously lovely to see. Like, it's always nice to speak to people when they seem at their most zen, for lack of a better word. Um, but something I wanted to ask you, Nick, like, you've known Kelly for a really long time. You were mates, like, he lived in Avalon when you were still young and surfing a lot, and Tom was competing, and you guys were all having a hell time together. Like, when did you first meet him, and can you tell me a little bit about your first impression of him?
Well, Tom and my buddy Mike Newling met him before I did. And it wasn't like he was sponsored by Quicksilver or anything like that at that time. He was just a grommet Florida. And he was already being kind of touted as the next big thing. And Newling remembers, going up against him in a heat. It was like 1987 or something, in a heat on one of those scarifying US East Coast pro contests that were happening at the time, right? And it was like, oh, who's this new kid on the block kind of thing, and like they just looked at him and went, like, oh well, actually he probably is the future. We still want to beat him, but he's kind of the future. And then I think the first time I met Kelly was like at Waimea Bay, oddly enough, and he wasn't surfing; he was sitting on the rocks with a couple of other groms there on the point rocks while people were going in and out, and just kind of really observing what was happening, what kind of boards are being ridden, what kind of waves people were catching. And it was obviously ticking over in his head that this was just another wave that he really wanted to conquer and just get to be the best at some point. But he was also really, really young. Like, Kelly was a young soul. I don't know what he's been told by, like, gurus and spiritual people and all that stuff. And he's been down a few odd roads in that way, or different roads, I should say. But he seemed to me to be really youthful in his approach to things, really wide-eyed, absorbing everything, like interested in everything, and super hopeful, about the future. And then he began to connect with his crew, Dorian and Rob Machado and all that crew on the North Shore at the time. And he was, of all those guys, and they were all pretty young and innocent and all that, but Kelly was the most kind of like, I want to learn absolutely everything. And he's a bit less like that now. Like, that sort of stuff runs out at the time. But I really remember vividly thinking, this kid's a real young soul. And if he keeps on going like this, he's going to learn more than any other surfer.
You mentioned something there in his approach to surfing, like everyone, like Tom and everyone thinking that he was the future. What about his surfing at the time felt so futuristic?
Well, I'm sure there's a lot of different takes on that. Like, I would reckon the best people to talk about that are probably in Cocoa Beach, Florida, like his buddy Matt Keckley. Keck is a fantastic surfer himself and a really good surfboard shaper, and he's been around a long time, and he was really a guiding light for Kelly, especially in early times, but still now occasionally. And they would have one take on that. Like, my take on it was like he was both original, but he was also coming out of a sort of a headspace that was really present with guys like Buttons and the whole Hawaii South Shore crew of the early 1970s, Larry Bertelman and, the big boss Ben Iper, and just a really free-form way of looking at the wave and just willing to experiment. There was always a sense that, like, you never knew what he was going to do next. And that's a really exciting thing to watch. And it's a really exciting place to be in your own surfing, like, where you're just going along and it's like anything's possible, wave for wave. And everyone else at that time was very calculated. It was super cool to see that free-form thing come back into.
Well, we might as well just talk to him then, hey?
Yeah. Where do you see you surfing now in your head? You're not competing anymore. You're not, you might be thinking about heats and how people are going in them, and still an avid fan and all that stuff. Like, how have you structured surfing for yourself now in your head?
Um, Processing. I can't say exactly where it's at. I came to Taurua. I haven't surfed in a month since I got here, since before getting here. Um, I think I've surfed 2 or 3 times since I've been here. Um, I've uh, I've had a really terrible hip problem for a few years, and it's affected my back really badly. And if I'm at a contest and I mention that, it's an excuse. But the reality is I don't free surf very much. I know I haven't been surfing at my peak level for a number of years now. Um, like I say, in barrels, I can go straight really well. I'm not ever going to forget, tube riding's like riding a bike. But when your hip won't literally turn outward, like if I stand and I try to turn my knee outward at all, even that far, it's like somebody stabbing a knife in my hip. So I actually finally have space to where I can go, I'm going to have to get a hip replacement. I talked to Laird about this extensively. He heard about my hip and he called me and he's like, go do it now. You'll thank me later. He's like, I only did one hip and I can't wait to do my second. And he's since done his second hip. Everyone I've talked to has said their range of motion is improved, their level improved. So I'm a little bit biding my time before I get a surgery, which I could do it next week. I could wait till October, but I'm probably going to do it in the next 2 months. And I think after that, I can look at, what do I imagine for my own surfing and what's fun? Do I want to really try to get in and push my levels in when I free surf? Do I want to just cruise and have fun and get ready to teach my kid how to surf? Or do I want to just go on a trip once in a while? I don't know. I mean, I still have the idea in my head that my best days of surfing are ahead of me, if I feel good. And, if I can get my back straightened up a little bit. I think I'm going to post this picture of my back x-ray and you'll see what I'm dealing with. But yeah, I have a really bad scoliosis in my lower back and my hip makes it worse. But just another challenge. I've pushed through a lot of pain over the years, and I think adrenaline is the best drug for all things ailing you. I can paddle out and be in pain first wave and not want to turn, but then as soon as like a good wave shows up or my adrenaline kicks in, I don't feel it for a few hours, and then that night I hurt. I want to enjoy my surfing in a different way now. Yeah, Nick, I don't know where I don't really have any plan for my surfing. I want to get back to healthy and I want to start jumping in, and it's fun to surf good. It's really fun to surf good. So I'd like to be out of pain and then try to start seeing how far I can push my body without being injured and stuff. But I've been pretty fortunate in my career. I haven't had many injuries. I've had a few broken feet and a couple broken ribs, but I haven't really had a lot of downtime from injury other than 2017, my broken foot. I still have quite a few issues with that. And then my hip, which I've had 2 surgeries on over the years, but it's even when I lay in bed, just laying down and splaying my feet out, my hip hurts really bad, and it's terrible. And it's a huge effect on my confidence the last couple of years surfing heats and trying to compete. And I don't free surf much, so I'm not really even knowing where my level is when I go out and try to surf a heat. So
Oh, maybe the hip can be a circuit breaker for you.
yeah.
Okay, so
But yeah,
I got something else for you. Like
yeah.
when we began to pursue you for this podcast about like 6 months ago or a bit less maybe, and you were in Florida at the time, and you were like, "Oh, I've got to see how I've got to go. I've got work for the next few days," and I'm like, "Work? Okay, what is work? Like, what does that mean for you? Like, what is work?"
Well, sometimes it's just changing nappies, making food, cleaning dishes, household work. No, but work is I have a lot of projects happening. Like, I have some companies I've helped start or have some ownership in, but also building out. Like I'm doing a documentary, like a lifelong documentary. So it's taken quite a lot of time. The guy doing it, Al Hicks, is an Australian from Wollongong. And do you know Al?
Yeah.
He actually worked at Phil Burns' shop back when he was young, but he became a drummer, and he ended up doing a documentary on Clark Terry called Keep On Keeping On, and then another one on Quincy Jones, which are both on Netflix. And he always had a love for surfing, so he wanted to do a surfing film. And so we met a couple years ago, and we've been working on it for I think over 2 years now. But it's really compiling everything in my life from birth to now, but also a lot of history of surfing itself, and how I might fit in or out of that. but it dives into music and all sorts of other things. So it's been very all encompassing in certain periods of time. And then, I have surfboards, and we're doing a surf community in Austin, Texas. We're building a wave, designing that, and working with a partner who's an old friend of mine who does golf course communities. So we're kind of doing that for surfing instead of just for golf. And there's been a, a, a big crossover of people, obviously in different lifestyles, that have fallen in love with surfing over the years. And Austin is kind of this boomtown emerging city, and we took over the old Inland Wave Pool property, and we're building a community there. So that's taken a lot of time, meetings and travel and trips to Abu Dhabi and Austin and all over the place. We just had a group of our members here with us in Tabarua last week. That's actually why I'm here. And I wasn't here for the contest. I was here for this week with them, but we just figured we haven't been here in a while, and our son hasn't been here yet, so we spend as much time as we can while we have some free time. But I mean, look, I'm doing sunscreen and sandals and all sorts of things. So there's a lot of time needed to structure all those things, and then also have your personal life and time to surf and be at home and alone time, all that stuff. But yeah, I can get really busy at certain times with just various interviews and work stuff and whatever.
Sounds like a pretty full life, Kelly.
Quite full. Yeah, I get pretty overwhelmed sometimes. I think a couple more years, I'm gonna work pretty hard for a couple of years, probably still, and then just be like, I'm done. I'm just retiring and gonna go surf the rest of my life with my family.
I just freaking can't. Nah, I'm not buying that. You're gonna find something else to get that monkey brain going on.
Monkey brain.
Yeah.
Well, I love creative things, Your brother and I are a lot alike in that way. We love their creative process. And, board design is a big part of that. Fin design is a big part of that. Wave design is a big part of that. So those are all things that it's really extensions of things I already like to do that have turned into work projects. I like what I do. I've gotten quite a bit busier in time since being off tour.
Maybe people just, I don't know, respect when you're on tour that you're not available for things, whereas now they're like, let's get him.
Yeah, a little bit of that. Also, just trying to set myself up so I don't have to stress on any financial stuff and, later part of life. And, as a kid, when I started to get good at surfing and I started to make a little money, a big moment in my life, Nick, was when I was 14 or 15. I was 14 years old, and Danny Kwok called me. I was in Florida. I remember exactly where I was sitting. I remember the table I was at and everything. And he goes, we want to sponsor you, and we want to pay you $5,000 a year. And I was just like, oh my gosh, that's so crazy. That's so crazy. Couldn't believe it, Couldn't believe it. And I look at it now, I'm like, that's a little over $400 a month. That's like $10 a day. I should probably go get a job. But at the time, I was like, oh my God, somebody's gonna pay me to go surfing? That's crazy. But I realized at that time, I'm maybe I can turn this into a life, and I can have a career, and I can just literally spend my life doing what I want to do and loving what I do.
Yeah, it's funny, huh? Like I've been working on a book about professional surfing from its inception till now, pretty much, and I kind of took a really wide swing at how many people have actually surfed in heats in that time, in the 50 years or so. Probably around 31,000 people have surfed in professional contests.
Professional heats.
Yeah, pro surfing heats, right?
Wow.
And I just think about imagine how much their lives have added up to over time, right? These are all the people who went on to do what Keck does, right? Make boards and run surf shops and
work in the industry in some way, or yeah.
Yeah, it's quite a I don't know, it's quite a legacy. I wonder if you've ever thought about that and about how you fit in that crew, in that vast crew who've done this for fun or a living or both.
Huh. I sometimes completely trip out on the interconnectedness of the network of surfing around the world. So global, and unique and personal. And when I've talked to people who don't know much about our community and stuff, I said the cool thing about surfing is I could probably go to almost any beach in the world, meet somebody, and have a place to stay on their couch, or give me a ride somewhere, make me a meal, and that's the cool thing about surfing is it's so personable, and you're so connected with, and I've had people in all walks of life love surfing, but maybe aren't in the surf world, and they're going to go somewhere. I was telling someone this story the other day. We're here in Fiji, and my fifth and sixth grade teacher was a woman named Miss Mulcarrick, and about 10 or 15 years, maybe 15 years ago now, she said, "Oh, I know you go to Fiji. I'm going to go to Fiji on a vacation." She's like, "Is there anything you could tell me? Is something I could do, or something fun I could experience while I'm there, or whatever?" And I said, "Okay, here's what you're going to do. You're going to go to Momi Village. You're going to get a taxi. You're going to have them take you to Momi Village. And you're going to go Momi, and you're going to ask for Barracuda, the chief. And you're going to tell them you were my teacher at school, and you're going to just have a day with them." And I didn't tell Barracuda. I didn't tell them here. I just said, "You go there, and if Barracuda's not there, you ask for his wife." And she went, and she actually went to the village and spent the day with them. And she said it was one of the best days of her life. And she's like, "That's something I would never have known to do. And there's people I would never have met." And she's like, "It was so cool. I got to see the school and the church and meet the people in the town." And those are the kind of like those kind of stories are things I just love, that you can share some piece of your life, and have somebody see a little slice of, the decades and decades of friendship.
Okay, speaking of friendships, like this podcast is called "We Shouldn't Be Friends," and it's based on.
Why is it called that? I don't know that.
Okay, it's based on mine and Hannah's friendship, right? Like I'm 66 years old. Hannah's 33 years old. We're different genders, but we're both really avid surfers, and like there's no real time in the past of surfing where our friendship could have really sprung up, right? Like 33-year-old woman and a 66-year-old man becoming friends through surfing. That's extremely unusual up until kind of now, right?
So funny. You're exactly her age when she was born right now.
Yeah,
Great.
yeah. It's
Now you're
hilarious.
sharing the surf experience.
And you won your first world title the year I was born.
How nuts is
Oh,
that?
yeah. There we go.
But like it got us triggered on the whole idea of unusual friendships, and like ours is an intergenerational friendship. We both get a lot out of it. Maybe in the past people would have thought it was something different was going on, but it's just nonsense, right? Like we're just surf buddies and we're like minds. So I'm just wondering, and I know you'll have a few answers to this, but try and pick a gold one if you can. What's a really unusual and unexpected friendship that you've developed through surfing? Someone who you would never have met otherwise, who you would never have imagined being friends with.
Oh, man. I have thousands of those. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, where do you even go with that? Is it someone other people would know, or is it just some random person that nobody knows, or is it a funny experience, or, is it, I mean, I've like just thinking back, my mind goes to like, oh, I remember going to the beach in France one day. We surfed up north of the forest, and then there was these people traveling in a van, and then they invited us over to the van for a dinner. So we went and just had a coffee or a tea in their built-out van they were living in. You just meet millions of people like that in the surf world, and I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've met so many people. I can't even. It boggles my mind. Um, the Sheiks in Abu Dhabi. I was telling someone about that yesterday. I was playing golf with the Sheiks in Abu Dhabi last year in December, and that's from surfing, and ultimately going there and building a wave there. And actually, they weren't even involved with the wave. I happened to be there while a friend of mine who's in the golf world was there, and they were going golfing, so he invited me. And then that night we end up at the Formula One, and the Sheik is like hosting his own private room, and everyone's coming to see him. And I walk in, he's like, "Hey, Kelly, how are you?" It's such a weird world, man. And then Jake Paul's over there, and Evander Holyfield's there, and I'm like, this is all because we went surfing, as kids. So strange.
Yeah. You've mentioned a lot about like the surf community and how different it is to a lot of communities. And I guess through your career, you've carried the surf culture through your professional life. and kind of entering those rooms that you may not have through surfing and carrying the surf culture with you that way. Like, how are you doing it now that you're not competing? Like, what does the culture kind of mean to you, and how do you carry it outwardly?
I don't know, just as you were asking that, I was kind of like daydreaming about like the complete other side of the spectrum of what I was just saying. Like that's just like this crazy life. And then the other thing it's cool is I was down in South Australia and we go to this guy's house and it's just like, I bet there hasn't been a lock on that door in 40 years. And he had a wombat oven to cook wombats, right? This is what he told me. He's he's cooked a few wombats in his oven, and then he gave us a ride out to this outer reef in his boat that we helped him launch off the beach. I'm thinking like all these moments and everything in between are just so unique and weird and fun, interesting to talk about. And he had a book. He had a book of all these sharks he had caught back in the 80s and stuff, and all these great whites. And I think as a surfer, I have more of a sense of pride of that stuff than like, meeting a famous person or, going backstage at a concert or something. Like I love that stuff. It's really fun. It's really cool to have access. It's one thing that fame has given is like access to really fun things. But I like just disappearing and meeting just random people at places and hearing their stories and I don't know, sharing where you came from and I don't know, nothing fancy.
Yeah,
But
it's a
yeah, I
different.
remember this guy told me that he had this oven that he only cooked wombats in. Do people do that, Nick? Have you ever heard of that?
I've never cooked a wombat. Like I don't know. It's not my
I was
field of
like, I was
expertise.
both interested and offended equally. I was like, why would
Yeah,
you do that? He might have just been messing with me. I don't know.
he might have been messing with you. It might be that whole koala thing that they jump out of the trees and attack you. You know?
Yeah.
There's
Yeah, drop bears. Just another Australian hoax that we've played into.
Yeah. I'm sure someone will have a field day with the wombat oven story. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm remembering that.
Yeah. I
Wow.
went I went down to Mexico as a kid. Just I don't know. I don't know why these stories just pop into my head, but I went down to Mexico with a couple friends of mine when we were young, and we got threatened by these guys down there that they were like expats, but they were like really sketchy dudes, and we thought they were gonna steal our car and beat us up when we were like 14 or 15. We're just in Baja. Like I think back on the life I've lived, and now being a new dad again, and like thinking what's out there ahead for my son in this big world. As the world gets smaller and we get more interconnected. But what is out there in the world? And I think of all the risks. My mom used to stress so much when we traveled. She used to be so nervous and stressed out. And I'm like, why? We're just in California and we're 12 years old. We're in Australia and we're 15. And now I think about it, like when I let my kid at 15 years old go to Australia with, I was with a group of people, but still, it's I think of all the plane flights and car rides and people I've been around and stuff, and somehow nothing bad ever happened. Nothing terrible ever happened. Like I'm still here and alive, and all the risks I've taken in the ocean, and it's just like now that I'm off tour, sometimes I just slow down and like it's almost like all those memories from the past go through my brain and I can't process it all. It's been too much. Too much will happen in a day and then in a week and in a month and in a year. And you just never quite process all of it. So I find myself now uh, having a lot of memories flood in of just life. And I don't know if I can ever process it all.
Might need a tool. Hey, like Tom has the tool of the camera. Hannah's got the tool of the camera. Like I'll write about a lot of stuff, not in a sort of journaly way, but like in a way that helps me make sense of things. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe you just want to find your own tool for doing that somehow.
No, there's always ayahuasca.
There is.
Wow.
Oh, do we want to torment him a bit more, or do you think that?
the only other thing I could think about is you and Tom both have the longevity card well up your sleeve in surfing and wanting to surf into like your 90s. Like where do you see yourself surfing until, Kelly?
I just saw this Balinese female dancer who's 106 or 107, still totally dancing with the group. And then I sent it to a friend of mine and he said, oh, she should meet this guy. And this guy was doing martial arts and like really, really nimble at 110 years old, doing really quick, fast moves. Like it was insane. Like he looked, if you didn't see his face or his body, you'd think this guy's probably 70. And but I was fortunate enough to be really influenced by Tom at a young age, and by Tom Curran, because they were doing training when no one else really was on tour, you know, and talking about injuries and rehabbing, and I think being around your brother really hammered home the impact of thinking about longevity and keeping your body in tune and what is possible. And so I've been really keenly aware of that since I was probably in my 20s, thinking like, okay, there's a long time, a lot longer ahead than I think. But when I got on tour, the oldest guy wasn't even 30. The oldest surfer on tour wasn't even 30 years old. I mean, I think your brother retired at like 29 or 30 from pro surfing. And,
Yep.
you know, now you got Jordy's pushing on 40 now, and he's in a world title hunt. And I was 39 at my last one. I think things aren't done until they're done. And then when they are, like, oh, okay, oh, you can do that. I can do that. And there was a fighter named Anderson Silva who used to win these fights, and he made it look so easy in the UFC against the best fighters in the world. He'd make it look simple. And he said something like, I just believe the impossible is possible. And not only possible, it's likely. And, you know, you can't do something until you think of it, you know, until that idea is sparked. And then once it is, you know, there's a lot to be said for the fun of youth, but there's also a lot to be said for the knowledge and the wisdom of being older and having a vision beyond, you know, your formative years when you're young. And I don't know, there's still a lot of things I want to do in my life, push myself physically. I want to get into jiu-jitsu daily, which I never really have as far as daily. I want to really get into free diving and breath holding, you know, increasing my cardio as I get older. And so I look forward to being excited about getting old. But sometimes it does hit me, Nick, you know, sometimes I feel the years weighing on me, you know, the physical injuries that you carry, and how the different stages of life, and being a parent, being a new parent again, those things they're very deep, and they're very impactful, and maybe you're not ready for them, but you have to learn to be. And so welcoming the future is an important aspect when you're getting older.
I think it is. I think it's also a bit of an illusion, right? You don't want to stay young forever. You know,
I kind of do. That's my problem.
but you kind of do, right?
Mhm.
So you find the balance.
But if you stay in that mindset, you don't experience what each stage has, you know. And
Yeah.
there's something really wonderful and great about each experience. But I definitely have a syndrome of like, I just want life to be fun forever and be 30, you know. Around that age, I think is about the best. No, but then you think that you get stuck in the past. I did when I won the world title in '05, in my speech something kind of popped into my head, and I said, you know, the best year of my life was 1998. It was when I won the world title from way behind, and all these cool fun things happened, and then I retired, you know, for a few years at that time, and I said, you know, I believed that life could never get better than it was that year, and so it didn't.
Exactly.
And you know, so if you think that, you know, you're gonna have some trouble in your life. You have to really believe the best days are ahead, and you make them happen.
Well, the longer you live, the more people you meet who think their best days are behind them.
I know, isn't that wild? I also have like I've had some trouble for a few years. I've lost a lot of friends. Not that we don't talk anymore, but they passed away. And it's been so many that it's super hard to process, because it could, keenly aware it could end any day now, you know, so you have to just be totally present and, you know, maybe do your morning meditation ritual with your brother. But there's no time to waste, but also you got to enjoy all of it. You know, you have to have the right mindset as you age, and and appreciate each stage. I don't know. I'm just learning. So now being off tour being on tour is easy. It's quite easy because you kind of know what your goal is and where you have to be and what you have to do. And then, for myself or somebody else who's been on tour for a long time, getting off tour is a little more difficult. But now that I'm off tour, I don't know that I can imagine being back on tour now. No way. Uh, it's fun, but I'm not, like I said, I don't even watch the contests that intently. I'm not that interested. I did it so much. I'm so burnt out on it now. And there's so much more to every day, the other things.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Have you started golfing yet, Nick?
Nah,
Have you-
golf's not my thing, really.
Yet.
Yet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yet.
It's
Yeah,
not
baby.
yet my thing. It's increasingly a thing a lot of my friends are into. I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm like more into the water still, really.
Yeah. No, good for you. Golf's fun. No, it's golf to me. I picture golf like a martial art. It's this, you're trying to get the most energy out of the most efficient move and repeat it over and over again. You learn this process of repeating something over. So there's a zen to golf. I know it's not for everyone, but there's a set of rules. I was explaining this to Barton, who's like the most antithetical to golf of anyone maybe you would know. He just, that's just bullshit, And then
Yeah.
I talked to him about it, and I said, there's a set of rules, and you learn the rules, and then you're governed by those rules within yourself. And you go out and you play according to those set of rules, but you can cheat at any time. If you want to, you can cheat
Yes.
if you want to. But you're the one person somebody might catch you cheating. Like it doesn't matter if you're playing a casual game, but if you're playing a tournament or something, you could sort of cheat, or you could fib the rules and then say I shot this score, but you improve your lies or you grounded your club in a bunker. You didn't go by all those rules, and then, but inside that you didn't. So it's kind of there's this thing internally. My godfather said to me, he said, golf's the greatest game in the world. And he explained this whole thing to me when I was first into golf. And so I've always seen it like this. It's more of the Zen thing than it is this like sport that you might think is kind of kooky or whatever, There's this other spiritual element to it in a way.
Have you ever cheated in a game of golf?
Oh yeah, we all have. There you go. Oh, that lie. But when you first start golf, you're so frustrated, and you see your ball sitting somewhere, and you're like, I can't hit that. So I'll just move it a little bit, And it's if you're having a casual game, do that all day long. But if you're playing in a tournament, you can't even like touch your ball or do it, like and a lot of the rules. There's so many rules you don't know them all. So sometimes you'll break a rule and not know you did, and maybe you could play your whole life in golf and not know you were breaking this rule. Like the way you mark your ball. I don't know. There's a million of them, but if you're betting for money, you just don't. There's no cheating.
No. No. Anything that you do like that, you're going to subconsciously judge yourself over, right? Like,
That's the thing. That's why I said it. That's what I guess I meant. You have a subconscious about what you did, and so it's a good way to check in with yourself.
yeah. And you go, hang on, I just cheated. Like, what does that say about me?
Yeah. Or the karma comes in the next hole when you hit two balls in the water. But it's a great game. It's a really great game. It's a good challenge because you can be like, you can shoot 100 handicap.
Oh, his phone's ringing.
Whoop.
Am I back?
Yep.
Yeah,
Am I
your
back?
phone-
Oh,
I think your
somebody's
phone-
trying to call me. Sorry.
Yeah. Someone tried to call you. So, okay, what's going to happen for the rest of today for you, Kelly? What are you going to do? Like right now, is it shitty, unsure, terrible?
Oh
Semi?
no, I'm just finishing up my breakfast. It's really strong north winds and rainy all day today. No waves. If the wind calms down before dark, I may get my son his first ever wave in the ocean.
Ah.
At Kittyland. It'll happen here in the next day or two if it doesn't happen today. Probably just do a little swimming with him. Maybe a little workout. I don't know. I got no plans really.
What are you going to do on the day of the finals? Where will you be?
I'm gonna be wherever the contest is, and I'll be surfing. I think. Unless one of my friends requests me to come help out or something, I don't know. I'm happy to do that. Like, I don't know. Betty's in the first seat. If she needs me to come help her a little bit, I probably will. But I see it just opening up either restaurants or club break from wherever the contest is not.
I love this. I love this. Join the gang. Thanks so much, dude. That was so fun.
Yeah, thank you, Kelly.
Yeah. Cool to talk to you guys. Hannah, where are you from?
Bondi Beach.
Bondi. Gotcha. How did you guys meet?
Uh,
Wait. Let me guess. Nick dropped in on you.
Oh no, that's Tom's. That's Tom's.
Oh, Tom dropped in on you.
Jesus Christ.
We both worked together at
Wait,
Surfline.
Nick sprayed you and looked back as he sprayed you like that.
With his like pizza hands.
Full pizza hands. No, I hired Hannah to work with me at Surfline in Australia, and then we both left Surfline, and now we just work together on different stuff.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say I did mean to say, you said one of my plans, my surfing or something, whatever. I want to get my body physically out of pain, increase my strength and my cardio, and I want to really, really work. Remember when you and I started trying to write that book years ago? We should finish that book because I feel like I have a lot of things that I've kind of forgotten almost. When I was like into like really trying to perfect my technique and stuff. I feel like I've sort of like forgotten some of the stuff or like just don't think about it anymore. And so I kind of want to go into like maybe I'm a little inspired by Gerlach because he's so into his teachings, and I don't know if I want to do it to make a class or a teaching or anything, but I'd like to. I had a friend who was into Kung Fu. He got really, really good at Kung Fu about 20, 30 years ago, and he realized that he started to forget some of his things.
Yep.
Started to forget some of the stuff, so he wrote a book about everything he knew while he knew it and while it was in his mind, And I feel like I wrote some of those things down over the years, but I've kind of forgotten some of those things because I don't revert to my own teachings to teach myself.
No.
So I kind of want to get my body out of pain, and I want to actually see if I can put in the best surfing I've ever done in my 50s or even at 60. Like really get the technique perfect, and start to get into a little more of the mindset I had at like 18 as far as like pushing maneuvers and stuff. But I just got to get out of pain first before I can do that.
Yeah.
But we could do the book if you'd want to try to revisit that.
We should revisit it. And when it's probably a good time is when you're starting to come back from the hip replacement, right? Because you'll have to like consciously re-engage with some of the things that you think you've forgotten, and they'll come back up to the surface, right? So that's a good time to work on some of this. But yeah, I'm so into it. It's like it's you want to help other surfers. You can leave this amazing mark, and it doesn't have to be big and complex. It can just be like a distilled thing of what you've learned over the years. That are kind of concrete things that count for anyone who surfs.
Yeah.
But, like, yeah.
No, I'd love to make like just a little like paperback soft book, like a little handbook kind of thing. Like this, it's like like this. But I was thinking it'd be fun to get like Phil Roberts or someone to do the art in it.
Yep.
And he's actually working on a board for me right now, so we're doing some work together. But I don't know. I have a little bit of a vision for it. I've had for like 20 since that was like 98. We were talking about that.
Fuck yeah, yeah, totally.
So, yeah.
You good, Shannon?
Cool.
Yeah. Let's go. Let's do it.
Yeah, because I need another project because I'm not busy.
Yeah. Me either.
Yeah.
But like,
No. Exactly. Yeah.
It's a topic that
Trying to
Nick
retire here.
constantly.
This could be the thing This could be the thing that put me over the edge, and I can retire.
But that said, your late 50s is definitely a little, how you have little peaks through your life with surfing, and like sometimes they're like only things you know about because you're having the experience, but maybe other people aren't seeing quite as much, right? Well, your late 50s is really like that. You will definitely feel something special about your surfing through that period, guaranteed.
That's cool. Yeah, it'd be fun because so many people have told me they've been inspired by like when I won at 50 years old at Pipeline, or that I'm still doing, I can still compete and whatever at this age. And then people get this idea in their head, like their body starts to feel bad and they don't know how to get out of pain, or they get lazy, or they didn't maybe get to the level they wanted to. It's something they were doing in their life or something, and they need this, you know. People need to be. I got a friend who's like really inspiring me. He's 72, and this guy Nick at 50 years. I took Tom to his class. Tom left like this, like, oh my God, this guy's out of his mind.
Huh.
The guy couldn't touch his toes at 49 years old, and now I can. I take his leg and I put it up next to his ear like this in the split, so he can stand on one leg. He's like the most limber guy I've ever met, and he has like no pain. We do like body work sessions on the weekends, and I walk on him anywhere on his body, and there's no pain in any of his muscles at all. Like we search for pain in his body and can't find it,
Wow.
and it's super interesting. So like seeing how far the body can go for how long, not in an extreme way, but in a way where there's no pain, and you can just be comfortable every day and like motivated to get up and move and do things and do all the things you want to do.
For sure. Well, with Tom thinks he's solved that with like having surgery every 6 months. Like, fuck. It's like,
I took Curran and your brother Tom to this guy's place and we were doing body work, and within about 30 minutes Curran snuck out and left and didn't tell it. I gotta out the door. Never been back.
never.
But then your brother stayed the whole time, but he was like sus on the guy, like, well, what's going on with this guy? And I'm like, well, look at the splits he could do. This guy couldn't touch his toes before, and now he's like doing handstand push-ups, going from a handstand push-up back down into the splits and stuff. It's like really insane, and he's just doing it himself. Like he doesn't have someone like training him. He's like just
Right.
figuring it out. I mean, you could go to calisthenics guys and learn some of this stuff, but he's like doing the body work, and he trains these massage therapists to like work all the pain out of your body. It's freaking cool.
Ah,
So I'm all in.
fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Holy shit, I need him.
Yeah.
I need him right now. All right.
That's what happens
Do
when
you
you get
ever have you ever gone and gotten a body work session from that guy in Bondi? Why am I forgetting his name? I introduced your brother to him. He did some body work on me, and then Tom was starting to work out with him a little bit. I think he's like Malaysian.
Oh yeah, fuck the recenter guy. The recenter space.
Yeah,
guy.
recenter. Yeah,
Yeah.
the recenter space. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's really good. He did some really great body work on me.
Yeah. He will definitely find any pain that there is in your
Yeah.
body.
Yeah, he was great.
Yeah. He's very good.
I'm gonna show you my kid. See if you can tell him. Can you see that? He's walking with Kalani and one of the
Oh
and
yeah.
Druku's daughter.
And like hanging on to
Yeah,
yeah.
How old is he, Kelly?
13 months.
Yeah, fuck.
Perfect age for walking.
They're so cute. It's unbelievable.
He's so funny, man. This kid.
It's fucked up. I'm sure you've already had this experience, but like your kids get older, but you still see them at all these ages. Like it's like
Yeah.
a flip book in your head of like when they were that age. It never goes away. It's sick.
So crazy.
Is he going to enjoy his first ocean wave? Like, does he froth going in the water?
Well, we took him to Surf Ranch and got him his first 2 waves down on the whitewash way at the very end of it.
Mhm.
And like the first wave was me, him, and Kalani, and then his second wave was just me and him, and I stood him up like this, and he's going by Kalani, she's standing in the water, and he's going by her like this, like arms up in the air. It's so funny. I don't know if he knows what he's doing at all, but it's fun.
He's having fun with that. That's all that matters.
Yeah. I think today won't be the day because it's choppy and ugly. I want one of those beautiful blue sunny days, you know. Maybe tomorrow.
Yep. Tropical paradise.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, thanks, buddy. Just let it.
I'm gonna go have my vitamin C and my glutathione.
All right. Thanks, Nick. Thank you for having friends like Kelly because, wow, that was such an insightful conversation, at least for me. Like, I don't know that much about the guy, so I feel like every time we get to chat to him, I get to learn a little bit more.
Yeah, and I think we're probably both looking forward to our next opportunity to chat with Kelly on the potty. And I'm really interested in what you, the audience, think of these conversations. I mean, you don't get to talk often to people like Kelly. Just drop your thoughts on us anytime you like, because it's valuable to us and it'll be valuable to our guests to know what you're actually interested in hearing about. and where you think, I don't know, this kind of medium is going. Like, potties are still tripping me out, Hannah. I don't know where they're going.
Well, something that you, Kelly, and I kind of chatted about at the end of our conversation before we said farewell to each other was the infamous surf technique that you and I like to end each potty on. And it made me think there's something about Kelly, like you said, you never knew what he was going to do on a wave. And I think that's still true when it comes to his barrel riding. Like, you never know if he's going to come out of some crazy section, or like I was watching some clips of him before surfing cloudy, backside barrel riding with no hands on the rail, and just like being so bendy and flexy in the tube and just making these sections through these tiny little wiggly movements that are, it's almost like his Gumby. And you and I talk a lot about body mechanics and technique. I was wondering if you could break something down in Kelly's technique for us.
Yeah, okay, well, there's something like I always kind of go on about when we talk about technique, and that is the relaxed upper body, right? And the idea behind the relaxed upper body is that if you have tension in your upper body, it conveys itself through the hips into the lower body, into the legs, and you want your legs to be pretty free to move on a surfboard, and it's not just trying to move around like cross-stepping or whatever, which is a great trick if you want to fix this, right? But it's also just the ability to sort of move the board really quickly into a turn and out again, and maybe change your mind halfway through the turn and do something that you need to do because the wave's gone funny on you or whatever. And I think Kelly was the first guy that I watched that really switched me onto that. Like, he is extremely loose in the upper body. You might remember as he grew in his surfing, he got a little bit older and he started like throwing more vertical moves into his kit. And a lot of the time he'd be kind of like what people call throwing pizzas, right? The upper arms would be flying away, you know. But Kelly's always been really mobile with the upper body, and that's because he's super loose up there. And I think that is something that a lot of people probably learned from, and you'll see way more freedom in the upper body from almost every surfer in the water now because of that. So there's been an unconscious learning that's stemmed down from Kelly's super loose movements that he had carried all the way through his surfing, from the time that he became an authentic world title contender in like 1991 or whatever, all the way through to today. And what you're seeing there, Han, with Kelly backside, no hands, barrel riding, gumming, fitting himself into the barrel. That's like years and years and years and years of practicing that relaxed upper body technique. And there's no one like it. And I think also maybe that's where I got the Buttons reference from in the first place with Kelly, because Buttons was also super rubbery in the upper body, just like full Gumby.
It's funny, hey, like you watch later clips of Kelly, like you say, when he's integrating all that vertical stuff. It was almost like he got bored of doing calves. And like when we spoke to him at Bell's and when we spoke to him this time, he mentioned like he's had some really gnarly hip injuries and he's going to have some pretty serious hip surgery to fix some of that stuff up. And you can't help but think like when it does come down to that body mechanic stuff, like, and being really loose in the upper body, that vertical stuff takes so much pressure off the hips.
It really does. That stuff does take a bit of heat off the hips, because like that down carve, that move you see John do a lot, you used to see Andy do it a lot, and there's a lot of surfers who practice it now. Connor Coffin used to do a beautiful down carve. That is a full hips flex move, right? And you've got to be strong in the hips to hold that turn. It's flexibility, but it's getting the end of the flex and then holding it. And that's the kind of thing that Kelly would have found much harder. Like his hip was really in a lot of trouble. Like, it's amazing how long he kept surfing with it. It must have annoyed the crap out of him. And I think he's now had the surgery, so you're probably not in the water for a little while. You won't be seeing too many photos of Kelly probably for the next couple of months. But it's going to give that guy a real opportunity to retweak his surfing to fit like the non-competitive part of him, which is very creative. And I always used to think, like, once he gives up that dream of competition, you're going to see something a lot more pure from Kelly in the lines he draws. He's just going to start concentrating on the best parts of the wave. He won't be thinking about judges or anything like that. He won't be thinking about matching competitors. He won't be thinking about 30 minutes.
He'll be thinking about surfboards though. I guarantee that.
Thinking a lot about surfboards and a lot about like, okay, what do I want to ride now? Because that heat's off me, and it's whatever heat I'm generating up here, you know. And like, doubtless there's a lot of heat up there. Like we both know older surfers who are ripping, and that is no accident. Their minds are still ticking away on surfing, trying to invent stuff while they go.
Yeah, I think it's a really exciting time in Kelly's surfing life. Like the ability to reinvent yourself after like years of battling a painful injury. And sure, like the road to recovery from major hip surgery is pretty huge. Or I'm sure he's got like Tom has another few things that he needs to poke and tweak as well. But once that's all kind of tidied up, like you almost get to reinvent yourself. And fuck, if Kelly's reinventing himself at 55 or whatever he is, I bet you're going to see some really amazing surfing out of him.
For sure. And like this won't be his last reinvention. That guy's going to surf until he can't paddle out, which might be like 90 plus. I remember like maybe a couple of decades ago, he talked about where he wanted to be with his surfing eventually. He's like getting barreled at backdoor at 90, you know? And now I think it's come pulled back to Cura, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I think you said that.
but we have to have goals, Hannah, don't we? All of us. And that's an authentic goal, I think, for someone like Kelly Slater.
Well, let's hope we're getting barreled at 90. You're a lot closer to it than I am.
Dude, I'm kind of counting on it. Like, I don't want to see the end. Like, and I think this is probably true for Kelly too, no matter what he talks about, right? Nobody wants to see the end of their surfing until it's just there it is, right?
I think there's something really interesting in that. Like, people are, like, unequivocally scared of dying, but I think most surfers are actually scared of their surfing life dying rather than the actual death itself.
Guaranteed, huh?
It's fucking hilarious.
Oh, dude. Like, I just ordered an amazing surfboard for tube riding from Uncle Bob McTavish. And it's an incredible surfboard. Not what you would imagine Bob would be shaping at his age. He's 82 and he still loves to surf. But I'm ordering that and I'm conscious of like the time that I have to ride that board is kind of limited, right? Like I won't be able to ride it when I'm like 90.
No, I reckon you've got another good 10 years though. If I last time we went to Cloud Break, watching you pull into fucking 10-foot Cloud Break on your backside with this grin on your face at like 64 years old, and I can't even get barreled out there. Like this is fucked up.
Well, you know, that's like waves like that keep you surfing, right? Beautiful, high quality waves are what we should all indulge in at our advanced years. Go to the best waves you possibly can while you can, because they won't be around forever.